Yes. Yeah, hello. As a follow on the video yesterday, I will try to explain how to set up the electronics and everything for making a machine actually run. So what we need is some stepper motors, we need a few drivers for the stepper motors, we need an Arduino and a GRBL shield. And I'll come back to everything. And then a servo, which we'll use for the pen lift. I'll show how to do that as well. So we need to start by attaching these stepper drivers into the GRBL shield or CNC shield. You can buy these one on eBay. They cost practically nothing. And these are just plug and play into these ports. You can see there are 4 ports, and that's how many stepper motors this shield can actually drive. So what we need to do is figure out which way these ones should go in. But that should be fairly simple. There is, you can see on the silk screen there is an enable, and you can see the enable on the silk screen here. So just make sure that they line up. Then that's the correct way of setting this. And you can also, so we will need one for the x-axis and one for the y-axis, and then I will actually put an extra one on the into the A port, which is just optional, an additional port. Usually you would only, because I'm driving my machine with having 2 motors on the y-axis. So this is the basic setup of that. And then we need just some sort of power supply. It can be any power supply from a laptop or anything you find. Just clip off the connector which is on there, and yeah, I've put a bit of solder on these 2 wires in order to have a better connection in these screw terminals. So then it's just a matter of plugging in the power. It can be, the rating on the power supply can be anything from 12 to 36 volts. Of course you need to have it big enough, but don't worry about having too many amps going out of the power supply. That's not a problem. You can use a power supply with as many amps as you want. That won't damage it, but if you have higher than 36 volts, then don't use that power supply. But just use one from a laptop and that will work. Then all we need to do is to connect the motors to these ports, and I'll show you that in a sec. We'll just put this one onto the Arduino, and then I'll go on. Oh, I just need a cable. Just 2 seconds. Perfect. So just got the cable. And what I will do now is I will download the software which we will run on the Arduino in order to get this machine running. So I will just visit Google, and I will use a software called GRBL, which is an open source Gcode interpreter for this. So we're not doing any software ourselves. It's everything is open source, and I will use a special version of GRBL, which is called GRBL-servo. If you look into that, you can see this repository here, and I'll just download everything. Now we have this repo. I will just keep this one as it is, and you have to include it in your libraries in Arduino. So I'll just copy this into Documents, Arduino, Libraries. And then I will open up the Arduino IDE, which you, of course, if you don't have it already, you will download it from arduino.cc. Okay, and then I'll just open the IDE one more time. There we go. And then in examples, you should have something called, it might be down here. You should have something called GRBL-servo. It's here, GRBL-servo. open this one. As you can see, this is almost an empty sketch, but there's just the include.h. That's all we need. So we'll just plug in the Arduino, plug it in here, go to Tools, and pick the right one. I'm using an Arduino Uno for this one. Pick the right port, it's this one, and then upload the code. Yes, right now it's compiling, and in a sec it will be uploading the sketch, as you can see it is now. So we are just still going strong. And now we are done uploading this one. So I can just check in my serial monitor if everything is working as it should be. Make sure you set the baud rate. I believe it's 11522. As you can see, if you see this message, everything is installed correctly. I can double $ and send that. Make sure you have a new line there. Oh, needs to be carriage return. Yeah. Oops. It got quite a lot there. I'll just try one more time. Seems to be, I'm getting a lot of messages. I don't really get that. Just try this one. Let's see. It's the same. I do not understand why I have that many. Why so many things actually get put out onto the screen. Whatever, let's just go with it, it will probably work. Then I'll try to hook in a few motors. It's just plugging them in. Now these are 4 pins, 4-pin motors, and yeah, these are the sort of the standard ones. It's called a NEMA 17. So you will just, that's the size of the motor. You can use smaller ones or bigger ones, but you'll have to mind the stepper drivers need to fit the ones which you use, so not too big, obviously, but these ones are just fine. So now I have my stepper motors plugged in to each of these stepper drivers here, and let's try to power it up. Please make sure not to plug any of these step sticks in while there is power on the board. It might damage the step sticks, so don't do that. Make sure if you plug in motors or anything, pull the power for the board, the external power. The USB, I think you can keep that. That's okay. So let's just see what's happening now. As we can see here, the motors should, if they are enabled correctly, they will get stuck in a position. I'll show you that in a sec. So what we can do, actually what I'm used to doing is just try and take a wire that goes from the enable to ground. You can use a jumper for this. This should force these motors, and now you can see I cannot turn the motors, I cannot turn any of them, and that's perfect. The software, the GRBL, whenever it runs, it should be able to do that enable thing on its own, so I'll just try. If I write G1, X10, F3000. So this would mean move the machine in the X direction with a speed of 3000. And that would be 3000 millimeters per minute. So just trying to figure it out. Yeah, and as you can see, we have this motor actually running, X20, and you can see it just runs. So G1, Y1, F300, you can see it moves slowly and everything is fine. The special thing about my machine is that I have 2 motors connected to the same axis, so 2 motors on the Y-axis. How I do that is I take, these are broken out here on the side, and if I put a jumper on from the Y step pin to the A step pin, and I do the same for the direction. So that would be the direction pin and the direction pin on the A port. And the A port is the red one down here. So now the Y-axis should be connected to the to two motors. So these two motors are on the Y-axis and this one's on the X-axis. Let's just try to put in G1, Y100, F3000. And as you can see now, these ones are perfectly aligned and everything works. So, but what if now they twist in different directions. If you want them to, depending on the configuration of the machine, you might want to have one going in the other direction, and the way you fix that is just take out the cable, remember to turn off the power supply, twist it around, and put it in again, and now it should run in the other opposite direction. So I'll try one more time, G1, Y500, F3000, and we can see right now, I probably hooked it in the wrong way actually, but if you twist the cable, it will turn in the other direction. That's almost the setup which I want to show you, but there is, as we were downloading the special version of GRBL-servo, that enables you to use the a little servo as the pen lift, because yeah, that's how I hooked it up. So I'll just show you how to hook that thing up as well. You plug in your cables, and what you will do is we can just check the repository and see what it states here. That you can see here, we can define a few things and it will run in a way. And I'll just have to see if we can actually see. It's on use pin D11. So we have to figure out which pin is D11. So if I go and I find a server CNC shield pinout, and I find pictures, there's always this picture here, I like that. So we can see it's on the limit of the C-axis. So I will plug power in. The brown wire will be ground. They are broken out on the shield here. So ground, and I will hook in 5 volts as well. That is the I just have to not confuse myself. It's the red one, which is blue, and that's 5 volts. And then I will just hook this one up to the C- port on the GRBL shield, which are all done right there. They are broken out. And let's just see how I move this. Apparently I'm able to use the M3 command and S something. So if I'm still in the Arduino IDE here, I will write M03 S 100, and that's it. So it actually moves. And if I write M05, it moves back. So I can choose M03 S20 if I wanted to move it less, and when I want to move it back, I just use the M5 command. M03 S255, I think it's where it goes. And M5, it will go back. So the next thing which we want to do is actually try to send some real G-code to this setup here. Obviously, I can send it, as you can see, every time I send a command, X10, Y10, F3000. Let's just try and go that. You can see the machine writes back an OK. I'm actually a bit confused on why it didn't move the this motor, but it's probably because it was already in the position. Oh, you can see it's actually moving. It just needs to move really slow in comparison to these two motors here. So what I will do in order to get it to work, or try to send some G-code to the actual machine, is I will try to open Universal Gcode Sender. I will put a link to this program. And it's okay. And let's just see here, I can pick the machine, make sure to pick the right baud rate, which is 115200. Open up, and we should see that the GRBL is ready. You will go to file mode, and you will pick a file. Now I just need to find an actual G-code file somewhere in my system. G-code there, and I can probably just pick something, just pick a random file here. I will just see how this goes. I can actually press the visualize button, see if it's working. So you can see this is the thing I'm trying to build right now. It's very interesting, but let's just send it away and see if it works. Unsupported command, okay. Okay, there were some unsupported commands in the beginning, but as you can see now, all the motors are running and everything should be fine. Of course, there are still, if you produce standard G-code, it will not understand how to use the server here as the C-axis. Usually you would have an additional, or you will have another stepper motor for the C-axis, but yeah, we don't in this case. How to do that, I will come back to that in a later video where I explain the whole grasshopper thing and everything. I just want to add a few things, and that is that if your stepper motors is not locking, when you plug it in, you plug the power in, you plug the Arduino in, and you try to move the motors and they're not moving and they're not sort of stuck like they are here. There is a small potentiometer on the step stick. You will usually just turn it all the way to the lowest position, and then gradually turn up the potentiometer until enough power is supplied for the motors to actually be in the lock position. Then you turn it up, and all of a sudden it will click and say, and then you know. I will actually, and make sure not to use or be careful not to use a metal screwdriver while there's power on the system. It might create a spark and then damage the step sticks here. I have killed tons of step sticks, so yeah, they are very fragile as I find it, but if you treat them right, they will work. And this is the basic setup. Of course, you need to mount these motors on another system in order to actually get it to work, but the motors are running and we are sending G-code to the machine. We still need to figure out how to produce G-code, but that will be, I will explain that as well later. So that's all. Thank you.